What is going on, Bears fans? I'm going to ask you a question right now. Did you think that the Chicago Bears were going to beat the Baltimore Ravens? Did you have it in your mind that that was going to be an easy win because Lamar Jackson was not in the game? Let me know in the comments down below, and let's talk about it, because I did. I thought that without Lamar Jackson, that and a 1-5 Baltimore Ravens team, that the Chicago Bears would be able to make quick work of the Baltimore Ravens. And what I didn't account for, by the way, this is my failing, if you will, is I didn't account for the level of injuries that we are currently experiencing. Let me just kind of break it down for you. Make sure you hit the like button on the way in. And this is my attempt to tell you, back up from the ledge, the Chicago Bears are going to be fine. There's a building process. There is a problem. I'm going to tell you what that problem is. I'm going to be as honest with you as I can about it. I'm going to tell you what the problem is. I don't know what a solution's going to be, but I'm going to tell you that I think that we are in a much better place. Now, let's talk about it real quick. First of all, this is the injury report. Deion Hankins, no big deal. He's a running back. We don't really see him on the field that much. There's not a whole lot to go on. But August 24, Terrell Smith on the injured reserve. Za Frazier, cornerback, on the injured reserve. And by the way, when we look at this, then we've just lost two of our backup cornerbacks. Now that right there in itself should tell you that we don't have a lot of depth at cornerback. Okay. Now let's take one more step. Kiran Emagaji. Now listen, this guy was brought in. I don't think that he was ready to play in the NFL or at that level last year. He certainly didn't show it on the field, but he's a big guy with a strong upside, but he was on the injured reserve, not going to be playing. Then we lose Jalen Johnson on September 22nd. And what does that do? That leaves us with cornerbacks, Tyreek Stevenson, who was in his own head with a Fail Mary in Washington, and then Nashawn Wright. Now, if you've been following Nashawn Wright for any length of time, then you will know he has not been good so far this year. He has not been good at all. But that's who we had to go with through that period of time. So basically the depth at cornerback is putrid, horrible. And what are we going to do about it? Well, maybe we'll start Kyler Gordon. Oh no, my friend, you're not, because Kyler Gordon, injured reserve, October 25, does not play in the game. Braxton Jones. Now, Braxton Jones, going to be playing a backup. Theo Benedette has already beaten him out for the position of left tackle, but we now don't have the sub of Braxton Jones to come in and spell Theo for any length of time. That is a problem. Also, Amin Ogbenamigma, I have a difficulty saying his name every single time, but he was ruled out for Sunday's game. Now, let's go back and let's take one step back. What is the strength of this team, or what was the expected strength of this team? The expected strength of the Chicago Bears in 2025 was that it was going to be a lockdown secondary. Our best player, Jalen Johnson, out. Our maybe second best player in Kyler Gordon, out. Let me keep going, because then it gets really interesting. Going into this game, Luther Burden then gets ruled out, which means that we're down one wide receiver. And listen, Luther Burden has not been a game-changing wide receiver as of yet, but he is a strong player, and certainly a good sort of relief for that. But move forward here, Dominic Robinson ended up out. Shamar Turner goes on the injured reserve early in the game. Cole Kmet out. Roshan Johnson out. Tyreek Stevenson ends up out of this game. So we're playing with, I don't even know McLeod's first name at this point. I'll be honest with you guys. We're playing with cornerbacks who should not even be in the game on most plays. And that begs the question, where's the depth of the team? And that leads us to the real question about the Chicago Bears. Ryan Poles. Look, we should have won against the Baltimore Ravens, but when you have questions about the quarterback, and look, I think Caleb Williams has shown some flashes of brilliance. I've seen some flashes of okayness even, but I've also seen a lot of inconsistency that I don't want to see from my starting NFL quarterback. So Caleb Williams is going to have to grow. He's going to have to get better, and we are under pressure right now to make that happen. We're under immense pressure to make that happen because Luther Burden's out, because our defense has been decimated by injuries. Let's not even get into the fact that TJ Edwards didn't play in the first bunch of games. The first batch of games, he wasn't even there for. Austin Booker, injured reserve for almost the entire season. So we haven't even seen him take the field at this point because he was injured in preseason. So, and one player or two players does not make a team. But when it's some of your better players or your more serviceable backups or even your starters, then you have a problem on a team. And you can only reach into the depths of your roster so much before the play is going to start to decline. So here's what I think. I think as starters go, the Chicago Bears are probably an 11-6 or a 10-7 type team. They're going to win more games than they should, and they're not going to shoot themselves in the foot like they've done many, many times in the past. That does not mean, however, that we're not going to shoot ourselves in the foot sometimes. There's no way that the Baltimore Ravens should have put up 30 points on the Chicago Bears. There's no reason for that. Also, there's no reason that we didn't run the ball 30 times in this game to eat up some clock and to try to manage things. I'm going to blame Ben Johnson for that one, and I'm going to say that Ben Johnson learned a very valuable lesson on Sunday, and that was you've got to let DeAndre Swift be either the reason that you win or the reason that you lose, because it's not Caleb Williams at this point. Caleb Williams needs to be the guy who can win the game for you, but he can't be tired after throwing 40 passes in a game. He can't be that guy. That's not who he is. What you need is you need to stick to your run game. You need to actually do something. You need to make it work. And I don't think that Ben Johnson did that on Sunday. And I think that a lot of that came from Zacharias being injured, from Luther Burden being out, from him thinking that, we really don't have a lot of depth here. Maybe we'll just kind of throw to DJ and maybe we'll throw to Rome and maybe make something happen. Maybe we'll get Colston Loveland a few touches. Maybe something great's going to, I don't know what he was thinking, but he was not thinking about the run game, which has been the strength for the last couple of weeks. So it is my belief here that if we are nervous about the Chicago Bears, be nervous. Be nervous because Ryan Poles has not built a reasonable amount of depth that we can overcome some of these things. But let's not forget that it is very difficult to replace a player like Jalen Johnson. Damn near impossible. Tyreek Stevenson, despite the fact that he's been in his head for a lot of times, has started to come around, is playing some really good ball. Matching it up with Tremaine Edmonds, TJ Edwards, they've all been playing some really good inspired defense. Kevin Byard, they've all been playing inspired defense. But to have your two starting cornerbacks out and your nickel, Kyler Gordon, out, then you lose your defensive tackle, Shamar Turner, early on. By the way, it's a rookie, so, is it a big loss? Well, any loss on the line is going to be a loss, but is it a gigantic loss? I don't think so. I think he was good. But, there are a lot of different instances in which Shamar Turner was a great spot guy that would give us a little bit of relief. Basically, what you had was Javon Dexter and Andrew Billings playing almost an entire game. Grady Jarrett, still not healthy enough to be a massive contributor. So, you've got a lot of problems on your defense right now, despite the fact that you've had a lot of turnover. When you rely on the turnovers and you don't rely on solid defensive play, you are going to have games like that. By the way, we're not the only team that's given up 30 points in a game this season. So I don't think that we should be too nervous. I think we should look at it and we should call it for what it is. We laid a stinker without many of our best players in a game that we really should have won anyway. But that doesn't mean that the season is over. That doesn't mean that we don't have a chance. What that means is it's time to regroup. It's time to get back to what we do very well, which so far has been running the ball. That we need to get this defense healthy, that this is a perfect time for us to start to heal up a little bit and get ready for the next leg of this NFL season. I want to know what you think. I think that the Chicago Bears are going to be just fine, but they're going to be mid. Okay, I don't expect, we're certainly not going to win out. We're certainly not going to. As a matter of fact, we could lose 3 or 4 more games in a row And I would still say that this team is much improved from last season. But I do want to see development out of Caleb Williams. Look, I have been one of those people who told you a long time ago, I'm going to say it again, and I will say it until I'm blue in the face. Number one, I don't think you should have moved on from Justin Fields. And not because I think Justin Fields is the greatest NFL quarterback to ever play the game. Just I don't think that Caleb Williams was an enormous upgrade over Justin Fields. Also, in the event that there was an opportunity for me to get Caleb Williams, I would have drafted down. I would have held Justin Fields. I would have went down in the draft. I would have focused on maybe taking Marvin Harrison with the 2 pick or the 3 pick. And I know Marvin Harrison dropped a few passes. Rome Odunze, I think, has been a better get. So I think that he got that right. But it also cost us maybe J.J. McCarthy. J.J. McCarthy might have been a good one. He's a Chicago, this kid loves Chicago. This was his favorite team growing up. This would have been a storybook sort of thing. And we know Caleb did not want to come to Chicago. Not that he hated Chicago, but he understood the dysfunction that's been here for a while. So, I would have traded down. I would have made a few moves here, and I would not have gone with what we went with. If Jaden Daniels was available, I would have took Jaden Daniels. If J.J. McCarthy was available, I would take J.J. McCarthy. If Bo Nix was available, I would take Bo Nix. And by the way, all those guys playing good ball. Not all of them playing as well as Caleb or as bad as Caleb. Not all of them. But still, there was a deep quarterback draft, or at least it looks that way so far. And, at this point, Justin Fields would have moved on. This would be the first year of whatever quarterback running this team. It would have been a new start. Everything would have been lined up perfectly. I think that Ryan Poles could have done better. My opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Bear down, guys. It's going to get better, but there might be some pain along the way.